Hello and welcome back to another video for Final Fantasy XIV with me, Meoni. Today we're looking at the housing items available from a vendor as of patch 6.35. So 6.35 brought in about 7 housing items in total, so there's not too many to look at. Some easier to obtain than others, I think you'll agree. But there are 2 items you can get from a housing merchant. So housing vendor merchants, obviously, you can get housing merchants in any of the housing zones. I'm over here in the mist at the Seagaze Market, over by the Seagaze Market's Aetheryte, and you'll notice that there are 2 items, the first of which is a chair, which is currently got quite a bit of controversy about it, which is the Lalafell lifter. It says, tired of being forgotten in conversation and hitting the edge of a table with your nose? No longer with the Lalafell lifter, the chair specifically designed to uplift even the smallest of heroes, and that costs 2,000 gil. We've already bought one of those, and the other item is a table, which is the simple low table. It says a quaint and practical addition to any room, so a very low sort of risen table off of the ground for 3,000 gil. So let's hop straight into a preview of obviously the Lalafell lifter, but we'll do the table first, I think. All right. Here we are inside my FC's mansion house. So let's have a look at the small table, the low table first, which, you know, I'm not expecting too much craziness from. We saw this on the preview. It is a nice table. It's a lot bigger than I expected it to be as well. That is a nice looking table, nice thick wood. Look at that. Holy moly. Made of like walnut or something. Nice big stumpy legs. Yeah, it's really nice. It's a low table, though, so even if you were a Lalafell, you're going to be able to reach this, aren't you? Characters of all heights. So, yeah. It almost reminds me of, like a dueling table or something, you know, something you would stand on and, you know, fight someone the other side with magic or swords or something. I don't know. It's nice, though, isn't it? Obviously, a, like, dinner table styled with this lovely sort of blanket on the top here, this cover. Placemat? Did they call them placemats? Just a big old mat, isn't it? Like decorative thing. This is a dyeable item, of course, so let's quickly go through the dye options for this. Of course, it comes with that lovely brown, but we've got quite a nice white colour there. Looks good in soot black. Yeah, it's got some really good dye options. It's a shame that the sort of flannel thing in the middle doesn't change colour as well. So whatever color I choose is going to be, you know, muted, just so that I can have a better representation of the colors presented in the middle of the table. I would imagine like darker greens would work. Yeah, that works. Yeah, like sort of moss greens and deep wood and things like that, as well as the darker sort of browns as well, different types of wood colors. I don't think many people are going to have like bright pink. I mean, you might do, but bright pink dining table. Who knows? It's going to look awful. But yeah, that's a nice item. That's a really nice item. Very cool. And then I believe the other item, which is the elephant in the room, so to speak, is the Lalafell lifter. So it literally says, tired of being forgotten in conversation and hitting the edge of a table with your nose. So I hear that some parts of the community, especially some Lalafell players, are not happy with this, and I think the main reason is that they are equating its similarities to a high chair that you would have for a child, and obviously a lot of people who play Lalafell do not like the comparison of a Lalafell being a child, right? They have enough on with people having that opinion already, and they are just small folk, right? So it's understandable, not being a main Lalafell player myself. However, it is quite a cute item. So what does this look like when you sit on it? So a normal-sized, you know, humanoid race. It is still very high, even for my Mikote look. Even with her thick thighs, like, I'm not touching the floor on this. Yeah, it's okay, isn't it? Do we have a table in storage? Can we get like a normal height table, not the low table, because, well, yeah, that's a low table. So ordinarily, do we have any chairs? Okay, we got ourselves a Riviera chair because that's a normal height chair. that I think everyone knows what looks like. So if we were to compare the size differences between the chairs, so obviously we've got the high chair, as we're not supposed to call it, over there, for the Lalafell related one, and then we've got a normal size chair. So if we were to compare the two, if I was to sit at the normal chair, if I came out of the menus, then you can see my legs are perfectly in line with the underneath of the table. I am, however, sitting on the edge of chairs, which is something I don't really like. But the reason they do this and add such a gap is because of races like Hrothgar needing that extra space, right? And Rogadin, for example, so that they fit on the chair, right? It's just how it has to be. But in comparison to this, obviously, a humanoid height has been increased quite significantly. So this should actually be quite useful for Lalafell. So let's hop on a Lalafell character, my alt, and we will see what the difference is like. Okay, so here's my Lalafell alt, and we're going to see the differences, you know, because obviously they've designed that item specifically around Lalafell. So on a normal chair, this is how your Lalafell will sit. So obviously, if we have a problem with getting our knees underneath tables of this height anyway, even if we were to bring the chair closer. But as you can see, there's not a massive situation here. Probably with like bar stools, you'd probably have an issue. But anyway, the comparison is between the two types of chair. And then over here, we have this chair. And suddenly we're basically nearly on top of the chair. So, yeah, I think it's a cool idea. I'm not sure necessarily if it works the way they want it to. But for stuff like bar stools, I think it's going to be the most noticeable. I don't currently have some of those set out at the moment. But yeah, the differences are clear, aren't they? Anyway, once we're here, we might as well have a look at what it looks like in different colors. Personally, you know, being a Makote main, I don't have a massive issue with things being tailored, you know, towards different races, because they've already put in the cat scratching post, like the tree slice part, like item, and it's like cats enjoy this, Makote too, and it's just a play on things, I think. So I think it's less of an insulting item than some people are making out it to be. But again, each to their own, and obviously not being a Lalafell main player, I don't really associate too much with the discourse. However, I do agree with the one point. If they were trying to say this was specifically a high chair, if that's what they were saying it was to be, then I would have a problem with it, because it would be the comparison to that of a minor, right? But that's, in my opinion, not what they're doing, because it says Lalafell lifter, right? It doesn't say high chair. It doesn't have that. I think the icon probably does a worse representation of the item than if they had taken like a top-down view or something. I'm not sure. But it's just a high stool, isn't it? That's all it is. I mean, a good point that my girlfriend actually brought up once I was recording this, especially, was this chair, in her opinion, and I guess a few other people's opinion, isn't that actually the best looking. And I think instead of trying to raise Lalafells up off the ground, maybe one of the things they should do is incorporate a load of the items that were incorporated into the dwarf village, right? In Shadowbringers, you know how you went in there and you had all the dwarf-sized beds and the dwarf-sized chairs and things like that. Where are those? Those models are already in the game. Why can't we have Lalafell-themed furniture added to housing? Yeah, okay, so Hrothgar's and Rogadin are going to look weird sitting on it, but isn't the best thing for inclusion to include all types of the races to begin with? I don't know. It's one of those things, isn't it? A lot of people are going to hate or love this item. I have no problem with it, but I can see how people have many thoughts on this. Let me know what yours are. I'm very interested to hear what the comments are going to be like. Yeah, do you find this item acceptable? Do you think they should incorporate a load of the smaller folk designed furniture that's already in the game and elaborate on that and just have, you know, stuff separately? Because if they allowed for that, then they could do massive things just for Hrothgar, you know what I mean? Like massive big thrones and things. They could have things of different size instead of trying to unify this. And I think a lot of the Lalafell community would be a lot happier. Anyway, much love. Lots of 6.35 content on the way. Thank you so much for watching it so far. Hopefully I'm scratching the itch and covering as much as I physically can. We'll get to the higher parts of the deep dungeon and, of course, some of the other rewards. As I get greater ether pool amounts, we obviously have to invest time to get to those rewards. So it's a process of unlock. Much love. Enjoy the rest of your day, and I'll see you all next time. Bye-bye.